All right. Today's conversation is interesting. And I think of the other conversations that we've had, there weren't many introductions at the beginning. It was almost just like "Walagasha, pakati inside, gugudlu, gugudlu. You're already going. But I think today's conversation, where it becomes very interesting for me, is because it was a random call. We're discussing the house budget with my dad and what to do and what needs fixing, that sort of thing. And then, what I appreciate and have always appreciated about my dad is that he has this ability where we deal with the business of the day and then we very quickly go into strategy and philosophy. And I cannot tell you how much or how valuable that is, because I think by design or by maybe nature, I tend to be a very philosophical person. So it's as if that is my language, you know. And today, what happened? So, I mean, we discussed what needs to be paid for, what needs to be fixed, what needs to be done in the house, and then we're done. And then he said, perhaps can I bounce something off of you? And the thing that I would like to bounce off you, I was listening to, I think it's SAFM or something like that. He normally listens to SAFM or talk radio on his way to work. And he says they were talking about careers and the lie that we have been sold when it comes to a career, at least in the traditional sense that you experience it. It's not necessarily as it is. And this was the lie. Careers mostly emerged out of the services that the king needs. And most of the careers then emerged that way. I was having a conversation this weekend with a significant other. And one of the conversations that we're talking about was entertainers, for example. I think one of the things that we've forgotten is that an entertainer is exactly that. It is an entertainer, at least as far as its lineage from kingship, where what came from there was the fact that the king used to be bored and he would want a joker or a jester to perform in front of him. And perform they would. And over time, performing then became a more and more lucrative career. And so we're discussing how many of the careers emerge from that, to a point where he was asking me then, if you had to go back to Metric, and some of you would know the conversation that we had earlier in the week where, I explained to him as a chartered accountant, the most that I can hope to earn within the bell curve. So I'm not talking about outliers, is about 1.6 million rand, 2 million rands if I'm very lucky. But other than that, I don't expect to earn anything more than that. And that's why I resigned. That's why I decided that, maybe this is not a career for me. And not even career, maybe the career ladder is not for me because at the top, the bar is 2 million rands. Maybe let me step outside and see how I can create value in other ways. And yeah, essentially asked Tore, what would be the career advice I would give in that regard? And we engaged back and forth. And eventually, then he gave me what has directed his career and what has always been the guiding light in his career. I mean, just to spoiler alert, or if it's not a spoiler, to give my answer. For my career, and for me, it has been the concept of value creation and family. The idea that the marketplace is not going to pay me for the time that I put in. So if I'm at work for 8 hours, I'm not being paid for 8 hours worth of knowledge. I am being paid for the value that I'm bringing to the marketplace. So it was very clear to me that, if I sit at home with my accounting degrees and accounting qualifications, all these things here, as you can see, nobody's going to pay me for sitting at home if I'm earning for time, i.e., I can't come in at 9 o'clock, give them 4 hours and then spend the other 4 hours at home and then I'll get paid. In substance, I would be paid for the value that is inside each hour, right? That's number one. And number two would then be the whole family orientation. I am a very family oriented person. And what mattered for me was the ability to actually apply my knowledge at home. So if you come into my circle or into my vicinity, you should be able to live a quality of life or at least have an engagement that says that I actually have just sat with a CA. And I'll give you a practical example. One of my siblings wants to be a doctor. He's in grade 10, I think, yes. And one thing that I've made very clear in the family is that every child in the family will be an investor and something else. So in his case, he will be an investor and a doctor, right? And as a result, I then teach him how to value stocks. I teach him how to spend his money in investments so that one day when he's a doctor, if he's spending 16 hours in the office or on the lab table, his money can be working for him. Why is that the case? That is because there's an accountant in the family. So there's no reason that money cannot be put to work when there's an accountant in the family. And what that money will do is that it may actually even supplement his lifestyle or supplement his desired living standards. And so the conversation essentially takes off from there. As I said, it was a guiding light on my part to say, look, this is what I would teach somebody going into a career. Don't just look into whatever medicine or accounting pays the most or it has the highest APS score, i.e., it requires you to get a mathematics mark of 70%, physics of 70%. Therefore, I want to then go into that career. Over and above the mark requirement, actually do yourself a favor and sit back and ask yourself, what value can I create out of this thing? What happens when 2,000 Rand an hour is no longer enough? What can I add onto this thing that makes me be able to go into the marketplace and then command 4,000 Rand an hour, 5,000 Rand an hour, 10,000 Rand an hour, so that you put yourself in a position where you're not just a doctor because a patient dropped dead in front of you, but you're a doctor wherever you are. If you are out with family, you are able to give the advice that puts people in a position where they actually look after their health and enjoy practicing some of the tips that you would have given them as a result of them having a doctor in the family. You know, oftentimes we see it at graduation or we see it with old people where they're very proud when they do something that is aligned with the career that their child is in. They will very clearly say to you that, yeah, my son is a doctor or my daughter my daughter is an accountant or my daughter is a lawyer, and that's the type of pride and value that I would give to add to a career of an aspiring matriculant or person today. But I think listen to this voice note of the conversation that we had. Don't be distracted too much by what I'm doing in the background. That is me doing some reading that can actually keep on adding onto this topic and into my way of thinking when it comes to finances. As you will know me, I enjoy talking about financial instruments. So it's very rare that I delve into the family realm and try and show you guys some of the thinkings and mindsets and philosophies that I have for building a family, for the way I interact with my dad, and the way that I think the way that we will be patriarchs or the way that we will lead our clan or our family occurs. So please do enjoy this. If you've got any feedback or if you've got any items that you feel that, hey, you know, they didn't sit well with you, tell us in the comment section. Don't cancel us. Don't do that other boring stuff that people do on YouTube and, you know, create an uncomfortable life for us. At the end of the day, I'm just an accountant. I'm here to add value in terms of finance. If it doesn't work for you, then it's fine. We can move away from that. But enjoy this clip.
The government likes people who are loyal to the government and not to anybody else. And least of all, the family. Okay?
Yeah.
And actually, it becomes, you know, back in the day, they were actually discouraging the kinship, you know, whereby the extended family would be around. Also, it's very difficult to rule people who are together. But apparently, since they've been able to succeed in breaking that down. I mean, you look in a lot of cultures across the East and elsewhere, look gradually the influence of bigger families is waning, you know, to the benefit of the government. Even in China, where there is such a strong family, whatever, but I mean, they're still breaking it down. So breaking it down such that, you know, nuclear exists but even more individualism is coming. So I think we need to be ready for such an eventuality.
Yeah.
Which is not fair, because at the end of the day, it means it won't be uncommon in the future system, as you are saying, to have someone who's 50 years old who has never gotten married, doesn't have a child, and they've just been working like a computer, and then they come one day, they realize they are not affected, and that's it. And when they are done, the system is very brutal. It just discards you and then gets another person.
Yeah.
You know, when you just go up, and that's it. You say for yourself what you do with yourself.
Yeah.
And then, only when you are 70, someone will wake you up and say, by the way, you should have prepared for this and make sure that you've got a family and other people will look after you. And they say, no, but nobody did. I say, oh, sorry. And then that goes on.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So we need to be able to mitigate against that, because this is maybe the only language that people now living, understand. And to mitigate against that. The one that I was saying that worked for me is that I don't know. I don't know why, but it just happened with me. Whenever, from the time when I was young, I just say, when I was doing for standard 3, standard 4, I would sit down and actually write a budget of my house.
Yeah. No, actually.
Funny enough, I don't know whether that was because at one point in time, we would be open with us. We know how much she earns, and then we know where does she spend this and that and that and that. Yeah. And so we made
actually, I want to record that part and we engage on that actually. Yeah.
Are you recording?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we'll talk about tell us how much she earns, and then she will definitely show us where she allocating the resources.
Yeah.
When her paycheck comes. So when she was saying that Agana Bali would understand it, where Anna Cheneta would understand it. And as well, that's why I understood the side hustle from her, from her side, that, knitting jerseys and selling this and that to augment her income, and it will definitely become very clear that, some of the things we actually afford. Also, Umama will be able to earn this and that. So from a very young age, I never thought all what I need to do is just a partnership and then get a university degree and work and be fine. No. I knew that you have to finish your matric, get a degree that will pay you to a point whereby you think you'll be comfortable with the budget that you want. And that's all the time. I would be doing more grade there. What you call now grade 5, grade 6. I would sit down and write my budget. That's okay. This is how much the cost of my house costs. The bond will cost this, my wife's car will cost this, my car will cost this, the children. In that miniature way, I would be. So at the end of the day, I could see that, okay, if it costs me like this, and then it's talk about if I follow the career that my mom is following or that my dad is following, then I won't be able to afford this. And if there's a look for a career, that is going to make sure that I can be able to afford this. And obviously there were a lot of limitations of career. I remember when I wanted to be an accountant, my principal strongly discouraged me. First of all, they were doing that it was going to take me. Number 2, said that if I'm going to be an accountant, come back from overseas, and the group company, I'm going to be an accountant too. I'm going to be an accountant and then be to a white tech. And actually any level of white tech here to doing your accounting duties. So people are limited to practice that. So obviously we have to just do maybe Big 4, your engineering, maybe the other maybe engineering lawyer and then the doctor. And actually obviously people think that we're lucky that even kind of on the qualification we had the role models around us, and maybe educate would be a doctor, would be a principal. And then you could see there was a direct benefit from doing certain careers that not doing certain careers. Okay, you see where principal of what they could afford. You could see what a doctor could afford. You could see what a magistrate could afford. Or you could see what a nurse and otherwise. So, some of these things obviously, they would just teach you informal that what, if you want to be somewhere, maybe you need to do something else. But what I'm trying to say that you've been saying as well, but I don't think you've been very direct. But I know that I think that might be my approach. I know that it's frowned upon, but I think it's because of this kingship type of mentality as well. Whenever I remember when I was young, people used to say, no, don't worry about money, take what you like, which is a lie. You won't like something that does not pay you. At the end of the day, if you just become really a job, I'm not saying that you should take a job that really you hate, because at the end of the day, just for the of money. But at the same time, there needs to be that balance. If I wake up in the morning and I sleep at night, I don't have to be worried about now where do I hustle again to get the money to open my whole thing.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Yeah, maybe just reflect on this one. Maybe you don't need to answer now. Yeah, but that's the one that I'm thinking that
I mean,
maybe that might have sustained me over time, because this is why, for instance, when I had finished my internship, when I sat down and now coming back into my budget, grade 6, grade whatever.
Yeah.
I could say that and then immediately that's why I started looking for other options. What could they be?
Yeah.
And then immediately we are okay. Now, if you are going to be a GP, you can be able at least to earn some living. I'm still doing what I enjoy, having started to be a doctor, and as well, it was going to be able to fulfill at least to a certain level, my financial obligations that I've had for myself. Let's say visionarily. And as well, when it continued during the GP years, when I could see that now I might be reaching a ceiling. What else can happen in this business? I started doing business studies, studying the MBA. Because obviously all of us were doing so this dream that if you're a financer, in finance or whatever, and this and that and that. Until I went back and said, no. But it's fine. I can have an MBA and then manage whose business. Other people's business, and other people only manage their businesses. You are an employee, and you get a sitting. Or if I run my own business, which one? And then somebody within me just know that. But when you are a doctor, you're already in business. Why are you looking at other people's business? Why do you want to employ it? And I think it was also that thing that all of us are so determined that you have to be employed and get paid well. Yeah, and that's why I said, okay, it's fun. Maybe I can specialize and come back and see that I augment my qualifications and broaden my scope and actually the invoice as well that I put to people that it might be better. And it just literally worked very well. And it's so that when I'm sitting in my office or in the hospital or in theater, honestly, I don't mind that I have to be doing side hustle, except that if there are opportunities like in mining, farming, that one can do and then collaborate with other people. I see that this is just low-hanging fruit that one can actually exploit. So that's why I'm saying that I wonder if the one would actually advise the youngster. First of all, look at what you've got your uncles, you've got your aunts, you've got who do you admire? Or maybe your friends, your friends' parents. I mean, who do you admire? And then most of that, I admire Uncle George, who lives in Pretoria East, and into so. You say, okay, okay. What people who get 8 million rand house, they pay maybe 80,000 rand or 100,000 rand on a bond payment. They are driving those 2 cars, man and baby, and they in total both of them they're paying 70,000 rand. And then they are having these 3 kids of theirs were at 18. Each of the kids, is paying maybe about 300,000. I don't know what. They are paying 200,000 rand. So, in other words, whatever job or business you run in future, if you want to be like Uncle George, you need to be able to have a monthly expenditure of 500,000 rand plus. So that you didn't get it to someone who wants to, if I want to be a radiographer, I'll never attain that. If I want to, if you can understand that even if I want to be a doctor, then I can't be a doctor and sit in the public sector. But then the maximum I'll get 120,000 or 50,000, that I'll take home. So I'm near nowhere. It's 100,000. But maybe if I am able maybe to be in private practice or maybe be part of a consortium that builds the hospital, and then I'll be able, and then maybe I can be able to afford 500,000 rand bill a month and then live the lifestyle that I want. Okay, I'm not saying that is an ideal or what people should aim for, but I'm just saying that you make it clear to them. Don't dream and think that, the mere fact that you're just going to be a radiographer, I really big machines that do this, it's a clear it all. But what I think that is where the disappointment in a lot of people in the society is alluded to previously. Or you find yourself here and then it's like you're sold maybe not you're sold a false dream, but you feel like something might have been mentioned and deliberately not mentioned. And now here I am finding myself. I don't know how it is that.
I mean, no, you're more than spot on. I mean, actually, if you remember, I think the first game here, Cash Flow, I think you had bought it for me in grade 10 or 11. Ne? Mama was not impressed at all. We are buying a 3,000 rand game, when there are so many things that we can do with 3,000, including buy clothes. And actually, Now, a lot of people know me. My magic number is 6,250,000. Unless I'm operating at a level where I can command that amount of money, firstly as an asset, but on an annual basis, the ecosystem of responsibilities and dreams won't make sense. And I think to your point, maybe that's where we both then have been fortunate to lightning strikes twice, where both of us have had the ability to essentially say, does the life that I want fit inside a particular budget and payslip? If not, what do I need to do then to get there to that particular life and payslip? I think it's one of the biggest guiding principles. And Kebona now, because the previous one in Kilebang Butswetsayon, so I bought it again, cash flow. And I've played it once or twice, level Moteo, level Bowilling, and I see it has exactly the same transformational effect because firstly it gives you a career, doctor, janitor, truck driver, lawyer, business manager, whatever. And then you go through the game essentially with that pay slip and you start to see what are the levers that I have at my disposal to increase my earnings. Obviously, your night's business minded, so ultimately it ends up with you owning a business and you owning property. But to your point, one of the easy life hacks of increasing, doubling, tripling your income is once you've got your first degree, realizing that actually getting an honors increases your income, getting a master's increases your income. And when even if somebody doesn't employ you, ne, I mean, Nekina Limpo this weekend, Mpo, my friend, really, let's say the rugby, South Africa, Australian. He was asking me how's it going, you know. And again, it's fine. Cash flow wise, it's naturally going to be tough. But I think it's probably the best thing that I would have ever done because you are inside a machine that keeps on going. You don't get time to reflect, to step back and reflect, or what, how far have I come with the plan that I had, with the prospects that are available, and then what can I do to change? Yeah. And I think that has been one of the biggest driving forces because it gives you something to aim towards and it very quickly reminds you that actually there is no way that with what you are doing you are going to afford that thing that you are talking about. It just doesn't come together.
Actually, I found that for me being very empowering because that is why for the reason I was getting disillusioned. One point I get disillusioned, you think this and that and that and that. And then and first of all, as you say that you want careers that are command or maybe activities that command certain amounts of money, First of all, you do an introspection and say, am I that kind of a person? Will I be able to be a doctor? Will I be able to be an accountant or to be a lawyer or whatever? But first of all, what's my IQ? If your IQ is low, then you know immediately, that won't happen. Maybe you have to start doing something else. And having a low IQ does not mean that you are dumb. Maybe you've got a low IQ for the traditional academic stream that we have. There are a lot of other things that you can do. I mean, there are many plumbers who are millionaires. Because they get very good job. As long as you've got a proper alignment. And but the thing is that I don't like people just falling into those just for the sake of it. As long as it is actually well calculated that I know that I will never be a doctor because my mathematics is not good, my physics is not good. I've tried, I've killed it in all. But then I can still be a plumber and make sure that if I and follow the development. So then if I get 500 toilets to build, I mean, they will give me a couple of millions of rands, which I can invest in and make sure that my money grows and my family is compatible. I don't know, a doctor or a lawyer or whatever it is. So it makes people know to understand rather than these people who end up at the end of the day. Like we are at the university, I see a BA and then I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but unless if you are learning to write books Zulu and make sure that you influence the policy of the government to translate all the books that are there in South Africa into Zulu as well, then you can be a multi-millionaire or billionaire. But I mean, if you just do it just for the sake of it, it's fine, you'll teach you Zulu, but then so what?
No, and even, I mean, to even to dignify your example, I mean, let's even take your Naya Finance, where, I mean, it is a top 4 qualification. Né? One day I'll interview them or I'll somehow find a way to expose you to the lived experience. For example, I'm very fulfilled, you know. But you meet time and time again an accountant who just is miserable. And you ask yourself, you're in the one of the top 4 professions. How can you be miserable? You know? And it's to what you're saying, Jorge, they did it for the sake of doing it, you know, not that there was ever any career guidance. As I say, Jorge, you know how we chose our subjects in metric? You immediately eliminate all of the ones that don't require a distinction in metric, you know. Then you are left with the following big 4. Then you decide, am I a numbers person or am I a theoretical person? And nobody interrupts you at that point. And then you choose one, you rightfully go through it, and then when you are done going through it, you realize that no, actually there's no parade at the end to give you what you feel you deserve for what you have studied. All you're gonna get is the outcomes of it. Wabo? And now to get to your point, it's not just plumbers that fall into it, it's even high IQ people that have fallen into it, where you are at the end of all the distinctions you can get. I think even if the ladies, it happens where they even study a master's, you know, and after studying the master's, they still realize that, you know, I'm 32 and unfulfilled. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. No, actually, this is very important. Because I think this is well in the institutions around the
Yeah.
If people can start thinking like that, that's about why I want to earn 200,000 rand a month. Obviously, the person will say, you know, I'm a teacher, I can earn that.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm a doctor employed in public service, I can't earn that.
Yeah.
Or even maybe whatever it is. Yeah. But then that's why maybe the fertile soul that they've been prepared to do it. If you want to get maybe an extra 80,000 rand a month, why don't you come together with your brothers and sisters and make a farming project and say, farming, you can give 800,000 rand a month, you know, which is an average, if you attend, it's an average of 80,000 rand a month each, and then out of 10 and whatever excess, you are able to increase your earning capacity to a certain level.
Or even own a school. You know, as you always say, for all of us, we are going to take our children to school.
Yeah.
We've got teachers in the family. Why don't we put together our heads and say, listen, let's start a Longwe school, or let's start a family clan school.
You know, talking about this is the case of Umuhle now, she's old and dying.
Yes.
Umuhle has been one of the black people who opened a nursing training college and the business for a lot of money. She's got such an astute mind for business.
Yes.
Let me tell you.
No, she does.
As an academic.
Yeah.
And this is why I'm going to go, Mama, you know, it's been, Umuhle is still, when I was going to say, lynch on her. Stay next to her in terms of business part of ESA.
Yeah.
She's done very well. She was one of the first people here as black nurses in Africa to get a PhD in literature. I'm not talking about this nonsense that you're going to be talking and writing, whatever nonsense, in literature.
Yeah.
And not only did she, from the time of Umuhle, before a long time, Umuhle ANC killed a lot of people in South Africa after a while. They gave her a tender and she started getting accustomed to the money that you just don't work for and then just get it. But Umuhle, let me tell you, Umuhle used to buy her cards cash.
Yeah.
She had a publishing company because she could write. She could write because she had a PhD in literature. She knew how to write. She's one of the very first people who wrote a book that was just for the necessary and right.
Actually, to your point, it's just I can't assess as well as you would be able to, because I get you when you recently saw her. Now I engaged with her phone. You know, I was impressed. Listen, my business is no longer making enough that I can be a registered vet vendor. What are the implications? Okay, and then she says, okay, I want to draft a letter to all of my suppliers and customers, explaining to them that change in my vet registration. And I was impressed. To your point, you know, she articulated the whole letter and then asked, yeah.
She's I don't know if he was a business customer, but she's been all the time.
Yeah.
And what to the point, as well publishing company have I don't know. That's why I get another cash and my house is cash. How are you going to make sure that I get that income?
Yeah.
You know, if you can't tell me, then you might as well get off. Rather, you can say, in addition to what you are doing, this proposal, and let's say you're telling me, you know what, your packaging company is taking, 30% of your time. If you can concentrate on this 100%, then you can be able to make 5 times what you're making packaging company. Then I can understand.
Yeah.
But it's just life, eh?
Yeah, no, true. No, true.
Just reflect on this, and also I need to come up with the package, right? Students, young ones, coming for career guidance. And I want to be very straightforward with them now, because as I'm saying, that you find a lot of very well educated people who are very smart. Also unhappy.
I think okay, if it's for the purposes then of career guidance, I think now one of the best advices you gave me was you said to me, I think I was doing the M-way, wara. You said to me, first of all, just be comfortable that nobody's ever gonna pay you outlandish sums of money for work that you didn't do. In other words, the price of your dreams is going to be every day going to work. If you have got big dreams, then be comfortable with a big work ethic. If you've got small dreams, be comfortable with a small work ethic. That's number one. At the age of 18, when your ambition is everywhere and your emotions are everywhere, it is a humbling line that just perfectly aligns the two. And then I think then the second one was, I think maybe 2 to 3 years later, or maybe 4 years later. I think it's after you had met Tony, in the same line as you are saying, ka mamai, 100% reconcile with yourself that, listen, you are a doctor. That's a fact. Don't think that you have missed the train and the money is somewhere else. There are already people in that industry and they are making average returns. What makes you think you can jump there part-time and make higher returns than they are? Do you not think that maybe you can get a higher return in your field by climbing the ladder in terms of, for example, you're a GP and then you became a physician and as a cardiologist, and in the same field, you just leverage your competencies. And I think I used to say it to Tony a lot because, especially in the beginning, and now he's gotten it, where he would say, I'm a mining engineer, I want to leave. What investments do you have and what business opportunities do you have? And I'd say to him, or you know what? The investments and opportunities I bring your way, they are not so that you leave mining. It's so that you can diversify away from mining. But at any given point in time, if we phone you at 3 o'clock in the morning, you should have no doubt in your head that you are a miner, and that is what comes, I think. So I think for career guidance, it's those two, to say match your dreams with your work ethic. And then number 2, accept that actually, if you are a doctor, that is your profession. Don't end up one day only MBCHB, but running a construction company. And then you are surprised why your construction company is not working. Exactly. Because you don't have a qualification in construction. Yeah, I think, yeah. All right, Papa. No, sharp, Papa. Sure. Bye. Yeah, and essentially that's the conversation. And for the life of me, I hope it recorded, because if it didn't record, either one of two things. Either I'll post this video as is, or I think I'm bad at video editing. You guys, I'm sure you can tell by now. I'm not a YouTuber. I'm not a professional YouTuber. I'm just someone that has got a few nuggets to share, and I share those nuggets. And as far as I'm content that the information is out there, we will work on how to make it work. But what I might be able to do is also take the recording and paste it underneath the video at the point where I think it should have been displayed. Otherwise, I might have to re-record. I'm not in the mood to re-record. Essentially, what is what? An hour of my time? I'm not even a YouTuber. Like I'm not a content creator, so I'm not gonna get paid for this. I'm gonna get paid for being an accountant. I think that's one of the things that came up in the conversation here at the end. Be comfortable growing in your industry. Don't be an MBCHB with a failing construction business. I can't be an accountant with a failing YouTube channel. Like if that caused me stress, then I know that I've basically got first world problems. But yeah, that's that. That's advice from my family. I think you know that I spend more time taking notes than I was doing the research that I wanted to do. But I think a very important topic theme that I wanted to look at was the meaning of family oriented, creating strong family culture. And I'm very passionate about this, and I'm glad it's Dr. Patrick Capriola that writes this. I do want to produce content, and even how I build my business, how I give financial recommendations. I don't enjoy Forex. I don't enjoy risky shares. And the reason I don't do that is because I understand that the people that I'm advising, the clients that come to me, are people that hopefully would want to start families one day, and they don't have a high tolerance for stresses. You know, I would want you guys to be able to focus on your family and not necessarily have to worry about, am I taking enough risk for my money to grow? In the background, it should be growing as required with a clear methodology. And some of the non-finance books that I read for me to have that comfortable temperament is articles like this, The Meaning of Family Oriented, Creating Strong Family Culture. And I would have loved to go through this article with you guys and engage on it, because this is something that is very, very, very close to my heart. It actually creates the cornerstone of the advice I give you guys, the reason I'm willing to give away financial secrets for that matter. Because at the end of the day, I'm not trying to make money from being anything other than being an accountant. Take my accounting money and invest it in the places where I recommend for you guys. And so, yeah, this is my guiding philosophy. I want a family oriented type environment. I'm seeing the family oriented goals, qualities, you name it. These are the things I aspire to. Anywho, that's me. That's my story. Chairman Mo, I'm out. And I think I always do this. It's the recording and I'm still here. Guys, I will get used to it. Let's ganja. Let's ganja. I'm an accountant. Now my job is this calculator. What's that calculator? Yeah, now my job is calculator, guys. It's just, it's not this. I see the sound card. Oh, I can show you guys my sound card. I see this. This is new to me. Tambo.